Today I've gathered 16 amazing anime fights and I'll be putting them in the tournament. Every round I'll choose one anime fight that I think is better than the other until we get to the final round and I choose what I believe is the best anime fight out of all of them. So let's get right into the video. Let's see what the first round has in store for us. Cars versus Joestar versus Saber versus Berserk. Both amazing fights. I think looking back at it now, if I was supposed to give my honest opinion on Cars versus Joseph, because I think I watched both of these animes around the same time. Animation wise, I do have to give it to Saber versus Berserk. Cars versus Joseph, it's more of like a strategic battle, but I gotta give it to Saber Berserk. The animation on it is actually insane. Even though like Saber is pretty much just like no diffing Berserk, I still like this fight better. Alright, next fight. Ooh, this is a pretty good one. I like both of these fights. All Might versus All For One versus Gar versus Rock Lee. I made a whole video about why I love the All Might fight and why I think it's one of my favorite fights of all time. But Gar versus Rock Lee, that's at another level. That might just win it all. It might just win it all in the tournament. It might no diff everyone. That fight is amazing. Like Rock Lee, his determination and like you're getting like the backstory throughout the fight. It really makes you feel for Rock Lee and it really makes you want him to win. So I gotta go with this. Both of these are amazing fights, but Gar versus Rock Lee just has a special place in my heart when I watched this as a kid. I have to give it to this one. Alright, next one is Ken Kaneki versus Jason versus Saitama versus Boros. Obviously, this is the anime one because I think Boros and Saitama goes fight again in the manga, but obviously I'm not ranking the manga one. I'm ranking the anime one. I think both of them are amazing fights. It's been a while since I watched both of these fights, so both of them, I'm like vaguely remembering them. I remember this was pretty cool, but Boros, like I've seen some Boros clips from TikTok. I have to go with Saitama versus Boros. That's a pretty good fight. Animation's crazy. Ooh, both kind of new gen animes. I know Hunter x Hunter is like not really new gen, but it has more of like a new gen adaptation, you know, because they reanimated for all this new stuff, right? So both I consider new gen. Obviously, Demon Slayer is way more new gen than Hunter x Hunter, but both amazing fights. Tanjiro does have that pretty good, and then Nezuko is also helping him out. This one's also a pretty good fight, but like we don't get to see that much of it, so I do like the Tanjiro one more. Tanjiro just had that dog in him. I'm not gonna lie, he really had that dog in him. Netero had also had that dog in him, but like Tanjiro was making sure he win no matter what at all costs. So I have to go with the Tanjiro fight. Eren versus Reiner versus Kaiba versus Yugi. Both amazing fights. Obviously, one is more like a card game fight. I love the Yugi versus Kaiba fight. And I think the Reiner versus Eren fight, I think maybe it's the animation problem because of the CGI. Obviously, I'm not that big on the CGI, but I never really have any complaints with it when it comes to Attack on Titan. But I do think when Kaiba versus Yugi, iconic. When he summons Exodia, it's like, I have no pathetic cards in my deck, Kaiba, but I do contain the unstoppable Exodia. And then Kaiba's like, no one's been able to summon him. Like, just memes all around. That first episode of Kaiba versus Yugi, I have to give it to it. It's iconic. Ooh, this is a pretty good one. Both part of the big three. These are both part of the big three. This is a tough matchup. This is probably the toughest matchup out of the first round. And remember, this is just the first round. Like, we still have plenty more to go. Ichigo versus Yukiora or Luffy versus Lucci. So I saw this. I kind of saw this around the same time. So I don't really have any bias when it comes to nostalgia for these two because I didn't watch neither when I was a kid. I watched them both when I was a teenager. So I think I have to go with the Luffy battle just because like Ichigo just got like an insane power boost and he just no-diffed Yukiora. Obviously in the beginning of the fight, Yukiora was dominating Ichigo. But I do have to go with Gear 2 Luffy for the first time against the leopard guy. So I have to go with this one. Obviously this might like trigger a lot of Bleach fans. I think the Ichigo fight is amazing as well. I love that fight. But you're going against like first iteration Gear 2 Luffy. These are both amazing fights, but I gotta give Gear 2 Luffy fight way higher than that. Okay, now this right here is gonna be an insane first round. Naruto versus Sasuke versus Jiren versus Goku. Probably some of the most iconic fights. This is like a finals type of fight, like matchup. So this one, let's really analyze this. Jiren versus Goku. It gave us one of the most iconic anime transformations of all time, Ultra Instinct. But we only get like what? 5 minutes of it? Not even, probably even less in Master Ultra Instinct. Naruto versus Sasuke, the end season finale. Well, this is also kind of an end season finale of Ultra, of like Super. Obviously, it comes back later, but this is the ending Shippuden. These are both amazing fights. I think I have to go with the Naruto fight because like emotionally it's better because of the like this is the final value type of fight. They both lose their arms. So I have to give Naruto versus Sasuke, but Jiren versus Goku is also an amazing fight. So Naruto versus Sasuke for me. I'm a Dragon Ball fan, so it's tough not choosing it, but I gotta give my bias up, and I have to go Naruto versus Sasuke. Deku versus Todoroki versus Cell versus Gohan. No diff, Cell versus Gohan is gonna obviously win this. Deku versus Todoroki. The only thing it has better than Gohan versus Cell is mainly the fact that the animation is better. But as you can see from like the corner right here, I love that fight, Cell versus Gohan. So I'm obviously going Cell versus Gohan. All right, what's the next matchup? Both amazing fights. One Piece versus Demon Slayer. I have to go with the One Piece one. I already explained why I like both of these, but just like Luffy finally getting a challenge for the first time in One Piece, because in my opinion, up until now, in this part where he fights the leopard guy, he really didn't have a challenge at all. Obviously, Tanjiro is getting a major challenge, but like, that's because he's like barely beginning. This is like, I don't know how many, like 300 chapters in, because I read the manga and I kind of watch a bit of the anime too. But for this fight, I watched the fight scene. So this one, just because it's like Luffy's first challenge, I have to give it to this. It's an amazing fight. All right, Naruto versus Sasuke versus Kaiba versus Yugi. Both amazing fights. Obviously, this has the Kaiba versus Yugi has more of the meme battles type of thing, but this fight's also pretty amazing. Like, this is an amazing fight. Like, just a master clash of just like emotions and just raw power, and just like, it's pretty much cool in general. So I have to give it to Naruto versus Sasuke. Just an amazing fight. Saitama versus Boros versus Cell versus Gohan. I'm obviously giving this to Cell versus Gohan because Saitama versus Boros, it's more like a beatdown. Boros is trying to beat him down, and then Saitama just does a serious punch and he just instantly wins. And this is more of like a traditional fight, so I'll give this to Cell versus Gohan. Rock Lee versus Gaara versus Saber versus Berserk. Man. I would say these two are probably the most similar matchup in fights, because Saber is like what's it called, like Gaara, like they're both like unstoppable forces. I think these are two of like the most similar fights in this whole entire tier list tournament. I mean, like Gaara versus Saber are like pretty much the same, and Rock Lee and Berserk are like both like amping up as the fight goes on and like trying at all costs to win, but like they're just both going over like overwhelming forces. The only reason I'm gonna pick Gaara versus Rock Lee is because Saber is such at a high level than Berserk that like Berserk never really stood a chance. And while in the Gaara versus Rock Lee fight, at least Gaara had a chance to win, and he really could have won the fight if Rock Lee didn't sandcoff him in his leg. So I gotta give this to Rock Lee versus Gaara. Oof, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. We're in the semifinals, so this is like to decide to go to the finals. I have to give this to Gaara versus Rock Lee. I would say the animation's even better than this. Like, they're both considered like old animation, but I think Gaara versus Rock Lee, I think they both have like emotionally the same type of level, but Gaara versus Rock Lee does have the better animation. This is one I dread. This is the one I dreaded, right? Because I knew this was coming up because of the semifinals, and Cell versus Gohan had to go against Naruto versus Sasuke. So, which one would I go with? Sorry, Naruto fans. Gohan's just him. Like, Gohan is literally him. Like, when that snap comes across the screen, and he's like, ah! It's really, Gohan was really built different. And at least we had, like, a definitive winner of the fight. Naruto versus Sasuke, there is, like, no winner. They just kind of, like, equal out. And it's more like a fan fight, right? Like, you guys want to see these two fight again. And obviously emotional, like, tensions that are high into the end of the season. But, like, Cell versus Gohan, an amazing fight. I have to go with this one. But ultimately, we come down to this. Cell versus Gohan versus Rock Lee versus Gaara. What do I think this fight's going to be? These are both tough choices. Both of them. And any day, either one could be my favorite fight in this whole entire tournament. Which one ultimately becomes my favorite fight? That is tough. Cell versus Gohan versus Rock Lee versus Gaara. Which one would I even choose? Alright, think back. Think to the memories of the best moments of the fights. Let's have like a flashback montage of like all the great moments of these fights.
Flashback. End of flashback.
Alright, end of flashback. So, after we had all these amazing flashbacks of like some of the best moments of these fights, which one do I think is better? So, let me try to give my rationality on my pick. Right? Let me explain the pros and cons of each fight. The only problem I have with Gaara versus Rock Lee is Rock Lee ultimately loses, which is kind of sad because you really want Rock Lee to win. And Garo just like sandcoffers him and all that. So that's kind of sucks. And then like Garo and Rock Lee never really get to have a matchup again. Cell versus Gohan. Gohan kind of sells the bag like midway through, and he doesn't finish the job, and Cell explodes and he comes back even stronger. But then again, we get this iconic moment. The father-son Kamehameha. Naruto fans, this might be... I was already saying that I was gonna pick Cell versus Gohan, but look at this picture right here. I remember I watched this as a kid. Rock Lee versus Garo was like my childhood. But as a man, I have to go Cell versus Gohan. I know all the Naruto fans are hating me right now, but Cell versus Gohan is just too good. It's like they're both amazing fights. Like every single fight in this like tournament, amazing. But Cell versus Gohan, like that fight is really just him. Like I have to go with it. Obviously, I can't wait to see this comment section because I know there's some fights that I just chose so easily, and I know people are going to be in the comments like, why didn't you choose the One Punch Man fight? It's way better animated. Because sometimes emotions matter than the animation. So that is my tournament. Let me know what is your favorite fight out of this tournament, and I'll probably do like a future one of these because I want to do one with like other anime fights because there is so many anime fights that I can put into the tournament. Obviously, I did not have like every single like anime fight here. I just had like a 16 because imagine if I did like a 32. We'd be here for like, I don't know, like 20 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. What's your favorite fight out of this whole entire tournament? And I hope to see you guys next time. Later, hater. Peace.